The battle still continues. Elden Ring versus God of War, Kratos, and yada yada. I do not know a lot about Elden Ring. I know a few characters. I know this. I know that. I know a little bit tidbits. I know more about God of War than, of course, Elden Ring. So this is, could Kratos beat Elden Ring? In lore. I don't know. Like, I do not know. So far as the feats I've seen so far, maybe I'd say I don't even know how the MC scales because, hey man, I'm not really in tune with Elden Ring lores, but that's a debate that I've been thinking about for a while. I've been thinking of putting it up on the poll, but I forgot until this got recommended to me. This is Sith, the programmer, by the way. Yeah. So yeah, let's find out if Kratos could beat the verse. Cause slam the verse. I was even thinking about it. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, they got a lot of hacks. And do we count Sword of Hope Trunks? No, Power of Hope Kratos here because that's just a whole. It's essentially plot armor. But yeah, with that said, let's see who got this man in this match.
2022 forced pretty much every gamer ever to compare Elden Ring against God of War, whether it be due to game quality or even their similarities and differences.
Yes, sir.
But one thing that was on my mind, and maybe some of yours, was what if Kratos had to actually face the Elden Ring pantheon, like the
That's
pantheon
what I
of
was
gods he has
thinking
faced so
exactly.
many times before? The comparison was begging to happen, with Elden Ring presenting a very old school Greek and Nordic-esque pantheon of gods and demigods of its own that has its own unique story and lore that the Ghosts of Sparta could easily be chucked against. Throughout the God of War series, Kratos earned his infamy via his conquest over the Greek pantheon,
Yes,
gods of
sir.
immense power lording over the lands, magic, and multiple realms comprising their universe. Lords of death, the sun, the skies, all eventually fell to Kratos'
Everybody, they
bloodlust,
went for
whether
the
it be the
Norse, of
Titans,
course.
the former great powers of the lands, or his own father Zeus. The
Zeus.
Ghost of Sparta proved all but unstoppable until his homeland lay all but utterly destroyed. It was only after facing his
Ain't
self-granted
no way, bro, playing the song. When he was bodying the F out of Poseidon, that was brutal. Bro, that was, yo, he got hoed. And he was a beginner boss. That's the crazy, that was just disrespectful.
penance that Kratos became a very different god of war in the modern age, and with death still out of Kratos' reach, even by his own hand, he'd
Bro,
eventually make his way to the Norse realms, which is a collection of worlds distinct from the set of worlds he'd known all his life prior. While it is debated heavily whether or not this rugged, aged Kratos possesses less power than his younger self,
nah,
it's
it's too
safe to say that
stronger.
his experiences make him much less likely to express whatever strength he may still actually possess. Despite this and his possibly weakened state, the former god of war still manages to defeat and conquer many belonging to this new pantheon of foes. The god of light, thunder, the Allfather, and a new host of demons and mythical monsters are still either bested by or pushed to the brink by
That's
Kratos
what I'm
and
saying,
companies.
bro.
So
Like,
the question
though, isn't it like every time a Greek god gets stronger? Now, I mean, anytime a Greek god gets older, they get stronger and stronger. And even like, I heard the developers like confirm that no, he is stronger. He just bulked up. That's all. Just because he's old doesn't mean he's weaker. He just got stronger. But I guess they still are those like they keep saying he's holding back because they can't really show how strong he is, which is kind of weird. It's for I guess, but what can we say? It's a video game, man.
is, could Kratos, in a similar way to how he eventually adapted to and besieged the unfamiliar Nordic worlds, conquer the strange and otherworldly threats that would face him in the lands between, and the differences that he would have to eventually adapt to and overcome?
Yeah.
If you've been following me for a bit, you know I have many God of War videos on this channel, and due to the complexity of Elden Ring's lore, it will take some time to describe how it really boils down in this type of contest and analysis. Not only that, but if you think the lore is complicated, power scaling it is next level. I
That's
also
what
want to
I'm
say,
saying,
as
bro.
a disclaimer, in this video we will be charitable with the lore. So for instance, when it says Star Scourge Radon challenged and halted the stars, we're going to be considering them actual stars and trying to ignore game mechanics over lore. As I
Yeah,
said,
cause like there was even I'm sorry, but like there was even that one lady. She was the god of the moon, bro. At that point, she was chucking moons, so I just said, bro, she is surely moon level or yeah. That's just where
My
else? How
own
else could
God
you
of
scale
War
her?
videos, game concessions sort of
The
nerf how
disrespect,
things can
bro.
look, even though in the lore it's clearly a higher scale or whatever, due to what you
Yeah.
can actually present in the game without ruining its flow or design. So we will be charitable to the lore in this video, and since the premise of this video is mainly how Kratos would interact and adapt in the lands between, I can safely say that if he was put on a hunt for the demigods to mend the Elden Ring, or even
He
destroy
should
it,
be
that he
able
would
to wash
undoubtedly
them, but
face the likes of
still,
Godric the Grafted, Renala, Queen of the Full Moon, and or
her
Star Scourge Radahn, as I
Radahn.
mentioned before. Unlike the Tarnished of No Renown, also known as the player character who is vaguely a warrior of some unknown caliber in the past that didn't even let him gain any renown, Kratos is just a straight up actual god and
Yeah.
god slayer, wielding many weapons that can slay gods and much more. So it's safe to assume, even just kind of off the dome, that Kratos could handle the many early threats of Elden Ring. Even the
Easily,
strongest demigod
easily.
of the Shattering in the Lands Between, Radahn, became so famous and considered powerful because he was able to combat the
The
stars, their
stars.
rotations, and halt fate itself with the power of his gravity magics. Compare that to Kratos facing off against Baldur, who could 3-tap the World Serpent, who alongside Thor could splinter the Yggdrasil that holds and transcends all the space of the 9 realms of the Nordic worlds, or even possibly scaling to an Amp Surtur, who created every star in
Bro,
the
wait, hold up,
cosmos.
hold up, hold up, hold up. Okay.
Of 9 realms, or facing Odin, who with spear in hand created 7 realms with the discarded corpse of his titanic foe, Ymir. Now, while this could have just been the planets and not the actual space, as Surtur threw all the stars into the space, so Odin didn't create all of it, it still is kind of impressive to think about. In comparison, even the strongest legends of the demigods don't really compare to Kratos, even with simple analysis, especially since these demigods are all decrepit, fallen off, and insane, and obviously
Okay.
much weaker than their old legends, to a degree that Kratos could never even dream of. And with Kratos having these god-slaying weapons, he could easily have weapons capable of dishing out the needed power to slay these entities, and if he acquired shards of the Elden Ring from them, they would only amplify his strength further and make him even more relevant and fitting in the scaling of the verse.
Fair
On top of
enough,
this, an
yeah.
example, imagine if Kratos slayed Godric the Grafted and with his anchor Great Rune amped himself like he does with Tears of the Yggdrasil in God of War 4 and 5. You have to remember, in God of War 4 and 5, he's also not in his home territory, he's not in Greece. He still
So yeah, the
adapts and
magics
amps
do not
himself for
work.
things native to the area. So he would in character actually use Great Runes to probably amp himself as well, if he was aware of them. It is then safe to say that he would eventually be faced with Morgott, the Gracegiven, and Leyndell, who he would ultimately slaughter just like he could Radahn. Many think Morgott is stronger than Radahn due to the opening cinematic showing a flashback of him and his Margit alias defeating Radahn and defending the capital city of Leyndell. However, this is Radahn in a weaker state, probably before he grew massive in size, challenged all the stars above Celia in Kylid with his new training, and before he was considered the strongest demigod of all. Even then, Kratos would literally chop a scarlet rot-ridden Radahn in half with one slash of the Blades of Chaos, so
Yeah.
there would absolutely be no contest with Morgott either. I doubt Morgott can do that. And traversing the rot-ridden...
Why am I even watching this? Look, it's just Radahn, bro. It's just a different breed. That's I'm just, cause I just saw demigod, and I was like, okay, maybe, but how powerful are the actual gods in this verse, and how just that's just what took me aback, like had me taken aback. But still, like, bro, let's just see, man.
swamps of Kylid would also probably be no problem as well, as he would never have to really interact with its swamps and could
Is that because
easily
these
slay
weapons wouldn't
all of its
necessarily work
inhabitants.
here?
You have to remember that Scarlet Rot is
If
burned
the
away with
Norse
fire,
works the
and
same way.
Kratos is kind of imbued with it. For now, with Kylid, he could easily and realistically kind of avoid it entirely and easily fling himself to Radahn. After defeating Morgott, Kratos would be presented with the challenge of the Erdtree itself. The Erdtree was clearly inspired by Berserk's World Tree and by the Yggdrasil Yggdrasil from Norse mythology.
Okay,
However,
yeah,
it is very
100%.
different in its nature. Rather than being a tree that holds up and transcends the time-space of the realms, it is a tree from which life all originated from in primordial times, and then was blessed by an outer and higher being called the Greater Will, which split apart all life and things to create order, and then sending a beast bearing the Elden Ring to ensure these things would remain as they are. And due to this, the Erdtree, while not nearly the same scale and size as the Yggdrasil, possesses many unique properties that would be sort of weird to deal with for Kratos, and would require certain prerequisites to defeat or actually handle. Most particularly to actually get inside of it and past the Elden Lord Radagon's impenetrable thorns at its base that deny access to its inner areas to anything in the lands between, which denies all access to the Elden Ring itself. Fire is anathema to the Erdtree, with the flames of ruin being what would eventually burn it down in prophecy and in the actual events of the game. There's absolutely nothing else that can destroy it because the flame of ruin is a godlike divine
Damn, bro, I was about to say maybe the Blades of Chaos, but
infested flame that specifically counters it, generated from a specific one-eyed deity. Even other godly ordained powers, such as Scarlet Rot, the Flames of Frenzy, or formless blood magics,
the
can't
primordial
actually
flame,
do
I guess, would
anything
not
to this
work.
tree. So it may be fair to say that the Blades of Chaos
Will
are
not
also a
work.
divine flame that can slay gods, so it probably at least functions similarly to the Flame of Ruin. However, even then it is too contrived to say it would just burn the tree down for a simple reason.
But if it's for that specific certain type of flame,
The
then
tree
it
is flat
shouldn't
out
it
immortal. What I
shouldn't
mean by
work.
that is it doesn't even possess the concept needed for it to burn or even be damaged. So when the player character finally does engulf the tree, even with the literal anathema or counter to it on a divine level, it's still not actually enough to burn it because it doesn't even possess the qualities needed to die. The fundamental concept of death is removed from the world and needs to be restored. So while I would say it's fair to say the Blades of Chaos should at least work similarly, or at least could probably even do more than the Flame of Ruin, being charitable, it is somewhat disingenuous to say Kratos would just burn the tree down without reintroducing the lands between to death once again. And this is especially true when you consider Kratos' fight with an actual cursed immortal like Baldur, and he was completely unable to kill him without removing his immortality, even though
Exactly.
the concept of death itself clearly existed in Midgard when they battled, and that in God of War Ragnarok he completely lost all his magics from Greece. This was confirmed, including his old powers from the God of Death and so forth that
So
he had only
no,
taken certain
yeah, hope,
aspects of
power of
even
hope.
then. However, death still existed without
Thanatos.
the god of death in Greece, just like the ocean still existed without Poseidon, the god of the seas. However, in Elden Ring, without the rune of death, or destined death, there is no death. It doesn't just go haywire. It just doesn't exist. It is a more fundamentally important and literal concept of the word, not bound by just a god's name or will, but a reality that must be overcome and dealt with
Damn.
for Kratos. But that doesn't mean Kratos can't get the Elden Ring. You'll have to travel to Farum Azula, just like the Tarnished of no renown in Elden
Okay.
Ring. And this is most accomplished by interacting with the Giant's Forge, which holds the Flame of Ruin we've been talking about, and then burning the Erdtree with it, and then being transported there. If Kratos has any guidance towards this objective, which there are many characters in Elden Ring that may straight up guide him if he starts slaying demigods one by one, think of your meetings with Melina, Vare, or even Gideon Ofnir. He could definitely and realistically eventually learn of it, and if any sane character takes interest in what he's doing, which, let's be honest, they 100% definitely would. Kratos
Whew.
defeating the fire giant is not much of a different issue, as he guards the forge, but just like the previous demigods, as even when god amped, it is not noted as anything unique other than almost a god by the warrior Jar
Oh,
Alexander.
okay,
The
fair
fire
enough.
giants, with these god powers being slayed and fought by many beings and warriors, you could defeat easily and even before slaughtering gods like Radon. Kratos also possesses the qualities needed to guide the Flame of Ruin to the Erdtree, as he possesses and walks alongside his own inner flames and literal flames of chaos. In God of War Ragnarok, Kratos is able to combine his flames with the fire giant Surtur and
Okay,
create
bro. I mean, this might be a weird hot take. Nah, it's not even a hot take, bro. Surtur was wasted, bro. I wanted to see Ragnarok. I wanted to see beautiful visuals of King Surtur, well, technically Ragnarok destroying Asgard. I wanted to see more of the Jotunheim. I forgot Jormungandr fight against Thor. The World Serpents. I wanted to see more of that, but it was just in the back, bros.
Ragnarok
Damn, I
flames.
wanted
And
to
if the
see more,
flames of
bro.
ruin do the same with Kratos, they could easily engulf the Erdtree and send him to Farum Azula to slay death, just like the Tarnished in Elden Ring. Funny enough, the events of Ragnarok in Elden Ring are actually very similar in this Ragnarok burning event. But with Elden Ring, the Ragnarok is burning the Erdtree down, as it's what represents the gods. And this is where
Okay.
Kratos would finally begin to struggle, as this is where the concepts of death and timeless beings actually begin to really appear. Farum Azula is home to very ancient powerhouses, and most particularly Malekith the Black Blade, who wields the concept of death within his very body.
But
The Black Blade, who wields the concept of death within his very body, and an ancient, timeless Elden Lord named Dragon Lord Placidusax. In this case, Kratos would never have to face Placidusax, but Malekith and the characters after him definitely somewhat at least scale to that old Elden Lord. And Placidusax is important because his very scales warp time and space and allow any weapon to become a god-slaying one, just one scale off of his body. He himself sits in a vortex or a chasm outside of time entirely. It is called a chasm in the original Japanese, and meaning anything that happens there is happening in absolutely zero time. Any movement, attack, or battle would happen outside of time, meaning anything that could move there either can distort time enough to the point that it doesn't matter, which might be implied via the scale's description, or is just simply
yo,
fast enough to be able to
what?
fight when time doesn't
See what I'm
exist. And this
saying? Their hacks are just. This is a whole Saitama versus Gojo. Yes, he's stronger, he got the speed, yada yada, but Gojo got the
is a
hacks.
crazy
That's
concept, as
just.
there is no finite speed capable of accomplishing this without weird warping arguments or concepts. Example being, think of how the speed formula actually works, that being distance divided by time. This formula would, in this case, break down, seeing as there is no time to exist in the formula, yet distance is still travel. This would essentially place Placidusax's speed, or the Tarnished of no renown who faces him, beyond any potential calculation, as the nature of this realm puts it beyond the mean with which we can even typically determine his speed. It sort of goes beyond what we know of in just normal physics. Even if you said it was the biggest number, which people usually consider Googleplex or whatever, and multiplied that by another Googleplex, and then multiplied that by the speed of light, it wouldn't even be remotely close.
Okay, yeah, fair
Moving
enough.
in zero time. The idea almost breaks speed entirely and makes it disgustingly broken for a character to be able to do. So for Kratos to
Yeah.
face Malekith and not just get turbo blitzed and chopped to a trillion pieces by the concept of death, he would need to have speed capable of reacting to this level. Which,
Hermes
if he
boots?
has been gaining the shards of the Elden Ring, he may be able to actually do naturally at this point anyway, but if not, he still would be very much on this tier, even in his own games. And this is due to the fact that in Greece, the primordials were a type of deity that existed.
Fuck. Bro, the fucking Hermes boots wouldn't work in a different pantheon. Damn, I forgot about that. I mean, I guess he's still
Anyway, but if
super
not,
fast
he
if he
still
could
would be
keep up
very
with
much
Hermes.
on this tier, even in his own games. And
Heimdall,
this is due to the
Loki.
fact that in Greece, the primordials were a type of deity that existed before the creation of the universe and created the universe itself with their battles, with later gods like Kronos, the father of Zeus, taking on the mantle of creating and handling time, meaning these primordials could also fight in voids of zero time and had gigantic titanic battles outside of it, just like Placidusax, if not even more blatantly, as the concept literally wasn't even made yet. They made time. The Greek gods then become stronger than the primordials and Kronos and take their place, as maybe while they are not as fundamental in terms of strength and scaling, they should be able to contend with those beings whom Kratos eventually reaches the level of. Even if for whatever reason Kratos is stronger or weaker in Ragnarok, he still faces high-level gods of the Nordic pantheon, and certain writers of God of War like to imply
Oh, Stronger.
some pantheon realm.
Honestly, I feel like Zeus is stronger. I don't know, just based off what I've seen, I feel like Zeus is stronger. And if it is true that Kratos has been holding back the whole time, I guess that definitely confirms that Zeus is stronger because back then bro was holding back. But then again, it'll depend. Like, does he's holding back equate to no, back then he was still on that Spartan rage energy. And if he keeps holding back, then there's no need for a Spartan rage. So nah, bro, Zeus is stronger than Odin. That's my take on that.
Activity, so it wouldn't be too crazy that Kratos could still face old Greek gods that at least contend at all with their primordial. Good example of this, look at Thor hitting the world serpent so hard he just bonks him out of existence
Back in
back in
time,
time.
bro.
Like, it's not a special ability or anything. He actually just hits him so hard and fast it breaks reality and he moves
Bro,
away like
sends
he's
him
in a
back in
meme.
time.
Kratos then gets hit by much stronger and more serious attacks and nothing happens to him. I think it's fair to say Kratos could face Malekith, but the issue is if he can contend with destined death. Destined death is a weird concept, but I don't think it's an instant win condition. Destined death in gameplay seems to grant an exposed death to whatever it touches, with death coming faster and more gradually the longer you are exposed. There's even a canonical health nerf effect from getting hit by it, implying it has effects from you not dying to it in one attack. Therefore, I think it's more like Malekith has the ability to grant death to Kratos, but I also don't think it's realistic unless you think that the death Malekith grants is beyond all space and time entirely, on a level beyond concepts, which it may be. But Kratos in God of War 3 uses the concept of hope and is actually able to shatter and bully the concept of fear. But by the time 4 and 5 come around, that concept is a shard and fraction of its former self.
Right? That
Sure.
there is a desire, that little bit of hope that he didn't give to mankind, that he left inside of there, but locked way deep inside.
And this is what originally was stated to keep him from dying all the time. So it's hard to say how he would handle a concept like death in the current games that can also kill concepts anyway. However, the reason I think Kratos would still take this, especially in this situation, is because even normally he is probably too much for something like even the Elden Beast and the gods, let alone a Kratos that probably has acquired and amped himself with literal Elden Ring great shards that basically brought a nobody to this level to begin with. Let's say Kratos did get past Malekith, Godfrey, and Radagon, just for argument and time's sake, and the Elden Beast showed up. The Elden Beast, even in its highest realistic interpretation, represents and generates an image of order that is shown to hold up the cosmos and reality itself, with a large and massive Erdtree shooting into space.
I have never heard of this, dude. This is the first time I'm seeing.
The
What?
order it represents holds all things as they are. This is because the Greater Will, an outer god that created the Elden Ring to begin with, is noted by its counterpart, the god of Chaos's vassal, the Three Fingers, who speaks for the opposite of the Greater Will, that it once split all things apart from one original thing to make all other things. It is a very similar story to Odin creating 9 realms with the corpse of Ymir, but the Greater Will does it with the basis of all reality and everything itself from the one great, the original only thing. Then using order keeps these things as all things separate, with the concept of order
Bro wants to be
being
Garu
the
so
Elden
bad.
Beast, also known as the Elden Ring.
Just playing,
However,
just
what
playing,
happens
relax.
in God of War is far more impressive than this showing of holding up and maintaining the universe, seeing as even the prior mentioned primordials pretty much create the multitude of realms.
Yeah, they
in
did,
the Greek
just
world
by
of God of
fighting.
War, as described by both the game staff and the game.
Oh wow, so like low key for each continent is a different. I know it's like a different realm, I guess, but within that realm, is it a different verse slash universe? Like that's huge. That's Sheesh,
Universe,
that is
seeing as even
crazy.
the prior mentioned primordials pretty much create the multitude of realms in the Greek world of God of War. As described by both the game staff and the games themselves, the Greek and Norse lands act as kind of pocket dimension centers
Yeah,
for
that's what
each
I'm
other, yet
saying.
containing multiple universe-sized spaces within them, such as Hades, which is described as infinite. The
Hold up. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
universe with which Greece and the actual worlds lay within, Elysium, Thanatos' realm, and Mount Olympus, are all either described or implied to be infinite in scope and would essentially represent a kind of multiverse within just the Greek realm, which is potentially the same case as with the Yggdrasil and the Nine realms hosted within, with Kratos, of course, scaling above them,
Damn
being
it! Okay. Ooh, wow. That I would have wanted to see that.
stronger
I
than
would
the
have wanted to see
primordials,
that.
such as either the Titans or the god of Olympuses who usurped the former. Even Atlas, who Kratos directly scales above on screen, has similar lore and feats to the Elden Beast, that being holding up at least the
Bro,
entire living world
the
or
entire
main
verse,
universe
he carried
containing
that,
Greece,
boy.
with Odin and Ragnarok was also stated to have slain Ymir, then using the body to craft the
Not the
potentially
entire, but
infinite
you
in
get what I'm trying to
scope
say.
Nine Realms, with Kratos even in that game at least scaling to Odin, seeing as he did put up a fight against the Allfather alongside Atreus and Freya. There's also the other argument as well that it seems as though things existed before the Elden Beast was sent to the Lands Between, implying the Lands Between existed before the Elden Beast came, which also makes it a lot more contentious. However, Elden Ring does have a bit of an out though, and that is the fun game of interpretation. The outer gods of Elden Ring are clearly influenced and inspired by H.P. Lovecraft's eldritch entities in many capacity, whether it be simply perceiving them causes you to go insane, like the Flame of Frenzy or the Chaos God. They are too great to interact with the worlds themselves and must interact with it via avatars or vassals, and they are summoned with rituals, whether it be their influence is charged by the alignments of the stars or planets or whatever. They are also literally called outer gods, which I cannot make up, is an eldritch term. It is fair to say that they at least are higher beings that don't exist within the main universe itself, or else they'd probably just show up whenever they wanted and wouldn't have to do all these shenanigans to interact with things. And while I think it's very
Catbird.
likely that these are at least the bare minimum higher dimensional or higher entities, it does not really mean anything for the Elden Beast, and the nature of the outer gods would never interact with Kratos, even if he turbo slayed the entire Lands Between and made all of them very angry. However, if you do think that they are clearly eldritch inspired and beyond the concepts of space and time and even created all these concepts, then it may be possible that the Elden Beast, being an extension of one and representing a concept of order to hold up all that is in place, and then being an extension of the greater will, making all things even in higher realms, then it may extend just beyond the Elden Beast being in the universe and even to higher realms. Its effect
Yeah,
might be even
possibly,
greater.
possibly.
But this is a huge stretch, as even the Elden Beast holding up the universe is probably contentious, and I'm mainly saying it to be generous, as it does sort of add up when you consider a much weaker Radon could hold up potentially constellations. So I think in the end it would realistically go, once again, being charitable, the outer gods, then Kratos, then the gods, and then the demigods. Just in all honesty, and considering the author's intent with these gods,
Talk to him.
go, once
Talk
again,
to him.
being charitable, the outer gods, then Kratos, then the gods, and then the demigods. Just in all honesty,
I mean, fair enough, bro. We'll take it, bro. We'll take it, man. We'll take it.
and considering the author's
I
intent
can't
with
say
these
I can't say ish because I'm just learning more about Elden Ring lore. So
gods and
fair
pantheons, I
enough,
think
but
that is a fair
still.
conclusion. I mean, look at Bloodborne. It is literally an H.P. Lovecraft fan fiction, let alone these outer gods beyond the universe. Due to the fact Kratos would never have to actually face a full power outer god, it doesn't stop him from getting the Elden Ring and honestly being the victor in this matchup. A big shout out to my editor, Crisis, for being very patient and helpful with this whole process, as well as Key Issues Garrick, who helped me with a lot of God of War Ragnarok
Shout out.
stuff.
Oh, key issues. Shit. I also check out some of his content.
Unfortunately, I was only able to play up to 4, so he was very helpful with going over Ragnarok's story and a lot
Alright,
of
fair
things that happened in
enough.
it because I didn't have time to play it yet. So big shouts to him. He has some God of War videos on his channel now you should check out as well. And if you do want me to at all do any more videos like this in the future about Souls or about God of War, just let me know down below. And otherwise, till next time.
Oh, okay, fair enough. A debate. I guess a debate I wanna see is Kratos versus Dante. Cause, in fact, if you want, you could even throw Ghost Rider in the mix. But aside from that, because that conversation, I'm just like, tired of it, bro. Like, someone gotta settle. I'm not. I don't want. I do not want to look up. Go. Kratos versus Dante, and I just see edits. There. I get it. Yeah, it's cool. It's great. But I just want a proper analysis, a proper breakdown. Yes, I go through the comments, I read this, but then somebody's gonna say this, and then they're gonna say that, and they're gonna. It's just, bro. Like, you just keep saying he scales 4D, he's 23D. Like, damn, bro. Like, and then next thing you know, he's 80, and then now he's 10, and now for example, he's like, bro, why? Like, don't give me D's, bro. Give me answers. Pause. But yeah, man. If y'all enjoyed the video, if y'all learned a thing or two, what conclusion have y'all come to? Because fair enough, man. Like, if there are niggas like far beyond, I'm not gonna be mad at it. Cause they're like, come on, man. Like, if for some reason you're gonna throw Zeus or Odin up there, then we'd have problems. Then we would have problems. But for now, I guess I'm learning. I've learned more about Elden Ring. There's a giant sausage with universes within it. But yeah. So with that said, man, if y'all enjoyed the video, like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know which of the video to check out. If y'all want me to keep checking out more of Seth the Pro. I think this is the second or third video I've reacted to from him. So yeah, that's it. If y'all enjoyed the video, I'm gonna see you. I don't know, man. I'm gonna see you guys when I see you guys. So see ya.